Hello and welcome to this next video related to the Moose framework for DCS World. The Moose framework 2.0 has been released recently and a lot has changed in terms of the release process, the tooling that has been used and the environments that have been set up. So I've decided to redo all my videos that are related to the development environment setup, because I've noticed that a lot of people that have been browsing on YouTube were watching my videos and got confused with the conflicting installation instructions given on previous videos. So in this series I will delete the old videos and replace them with new videos that explain you how to set up LDT, how to download the latest release of Moose from the release site, and how to contribute or beta test the Moose framework using GitHub and all the tooling that's around that process. So the repository layout in Moose 2.0 has changed. You'll see if you browse to my main user on github.com that there are three important repositories located. The first one is the Moose main repository, which contains the code of the Moose framework, as well as installation materials that are being used to set up your Moose development environment and how to use it. The next repository is the Moose missions repository, which contains the demonstration missions that explain you how to apply the Moose framework while designing your missions, and various scenarios have been explained in this repository, documenting how to apply the Moose classes to realize those scenarios. The third repository is the Moose presentations repository, which contains various publishing materials as well as the presentations that have been used creating these kind of explanation videos on YouTube. Before I continue, I would like to thank a guy named EasyEB, or Easy on Slack, who has been developing these kind of logos for us. The guy is amazing. He created this fantastic logo, and would like to thank him for his work in this. If you don't know who he is, well, you can find him on the forums with the ID EasyEB, and he's been creating various missions using the Moose framework already. So as I explained, the Moose 2.0 is following a release process that guarantees you to bring a framework with the desired quality and not have the risk to, have something broken or something has changed and you don't know what changed and so on, and your missions suddenly don't work anymore. So this release concept has been introduced, and the guy who did that, who actually created all of this, is Grey Echo. Is another contributor in our community who has been helping a lot in setting up this process. I will introduce him in a minute, but first I want to explain you that the main download site of the Moose repository is here on a URL called github.com flight control master Moose and then releases. And when you go there, you see this kind of page where you will find zip files a bit down below that you can then download and install on your PC. So Grey Echo is a person who has been contributing. You can find him on the forums as well. So because Moose is a community-driven effort, he created the release announcements and everything and set up this release process, Grey Echo, on the forums. So let's have a look how the release process looks like. What is done to create Moose? Well, you actually have, we're using GitHub to develop all of the code that is within the Moose framework. You actually have two main branches on the Moose repository, And the first and most important branch that you need to refer to is the master release branch. This will contain the latest release. The master branch contains the beta testing materials. This branch is always a bit in advance with the latest bleeding edge features and all the stuff that is currently in preparation for the next release. So for the moment you have within master release, release 2.0, and some hotfixes may be published, you know, on this branch, and at a certain time a release 2.1 will be released a bit later, I think around May, June, somewhere, yeah. And then all of the developments and all of the preparations that are going on here will be published into this new release. And this can then again be downloaded from this main site, and you'll find Moose 2.1 then. If you want to use the bleeding edge features, for example, we have already added a spawn static, we're adding cargo, we're adding and refining the taskings, right? So you can then join the master branch, but you need to be aware that if you're using the master branch, that your missions and the code will be loaded dynamically. That means that you need to do an additional setup to ensure that you can work with the master branch. And this is really important you understand. If you load something from the master branch, your missions may fail if you do not have the right setup. Your missions may run off the shelf without any tooling required, only from the master release branch. Okay, please remember. So using the master release branch gives you a stable environment, but you may not have the latest features. If you want to use the latest features before the release has been done, you can switch to the master branch, and with some very clear and actually quite easy setup, you can use the master branch and use the latest features preparing your missions. Many features are currently within development and will continue to do that. So any bug fixes on the master branch are being processed in various branches here. Any new features that are being developed are contained within various branches here. So the numbering process is 2 is a release that it has backward compatibility with a previous release. 1 is additional features have been added to that release, and the third number here indicates the bug fix level for that release. Okay, so this is in a nutshell how the release process works. Also note that we have introduced a feature freeze or a pre-release phase where we are not actually doing any new features anymore, publishing to master, but we are doing bug fixes during that period to stabilize the period or the release preparation. Many people are using now the master branch and are helping with beta testing. So the more users that are using master, the better that 2.1 release will become. Okay. Right, so let's get to the tooling. Various tools are being used to design your missions. Of course, you have the mission editor from DCS World. And since you're writing scripts here with a lot of details and a lot of code, it's really important that you install the Lua development tools from the Eclipse environment that you can download and install. This is a freeware tool, and in the next video I'll explain you how to do this. When you're interested in beta testing or in actually contributing on the Moose framework, you need to download the GitHub desktop tool that synchronizes your local repositories with the repository stored at the GitHub site where it is maintained and versioned. Various tools can be used, like tools to trail logging, the output from the dcs.log file, or any other tool to set up links, or any you know, additional help developing your missions. So I hope that this short video explained you how the Moose framework is evolving, and in the next videos I'll go into each of the different tools and processes how to set up your development environment using Moose framework. Thank you very much. Bye bye.